I can't quite contain or explain my evil ways.
What is up, everybody? Enderheart here with
Kitty Paula.
and we are back with Flowey is Not a Good Life Coach. Today we will be doing a very special episode with collab with Kitty Paw. Why don't you say something about yourself, Kitty Paw?
I am a gamer.
Yeah, she's my cousin. She's a gamer YouTube channel. Coming here, decided to do a video. Let's get this shit on. So she will be playing Papyrus, and I will be playing Sans and Flowey in this episode. Okay, in this episode, we're doing Chapter 4 tonight on the WB. So let's get this started. And I'm the narrator. Papyrus woke up the next morning to find Undyne had already been gone. 5 in the morning, he'd slept in. Atop the bundle she left in the front door was a teasing note, so at least he hadn't angered her by sleeping so late. Undyne had been thoughtful enough to give him 2 padded gamesons to wear, okay, whatever, and she'd pick out the smallest pieces of armor available, but it was still meant for monsters with flesh. He was in the process of punching extra holes in the straps when Sans shuffled downstairs, still wearing yesterday's clothes, and looking even more rumpled than usual. It was only 9 o'clock, so by Sans' standard time, his brother was up early. He mumbled something that may have been a greeting and trudged into the kitchen, returning with a glass of water and a piece of dry toast a few minutes later. He sat down across Papyrus at the table and gingerly nibbled at the toast.
You're up early,
Papyrus said, looking up from his work for the moment. Sans chuckled, spraying toast crumbs on the tabletop. Headache woke me up. Partied a little too hearty, I guess. He took a sip of water. What I don't get is how you're always fine even though you drink maybe twice a year. I'm kind of jealous.
I am much better shape than you are, if you hadn't noticed.
His head hurt a little. The last rounds of fire shots had been ill-advised, but it was easy enough to ignore. Sans laughed and promptly went, Oh, jeez. It's like hammers on my skull. He took another small sip of water. Believe me, bro. I'm aware. You're sharp. I'm shapes. That was something that could have been fixed easily, though, but Papyrus let that argument go for once. Instead, he got to work back on the straps. Is that your new kit?
Yes.
Papyrus said.
And I dropped it off this morning.
He twisted the all... Sorry, my voice is a bit blah. He twisted the awl he was using through a partially stubborn piece of leather. Modifying the straps was taking forever, but he couldn't have the plates twisting around on him when he moved. What are you doing? No. You have to read.
She sure didn't waste any time.
Oh, well, I guess that was me. She sure doesn't waste any time.
No, some people don't.
Papyrus was getting irritated. He didn't know why. He felt bad for it. So he just stopped talking before he said something needlessly mean. Sans watched him work for a few minutes, finishing off the toast. He hadn't used a plate, no great surprise there, and there was a small collection of crumbs on the side of the table in addition to what he spread while he was talking with his mouth full. Nothing unusual, but it's getting to Papyrus all the same. You're awfully quiet. You okay, bro? Papyrus didn't look up.
You have a hangover.
With the last hole punched in the last piece that needed it, he started that slightly daunting task of putting it all on. Sans came around the table to help once Papyrus got the breastplate and the gorget. It was tricky business trying to buckle the straps behind his own back. He knelt down so Sans could reach easier. Come to think of it, Sans said, pointing the first of the padrons on to Papyrus' shoulders, since that was pretty difficult to do one-handed. You've been quiet for a few weeks now, he frowned, tugging on one of the pointlesses. Man, this stuff's fiddly, isn't it? And heavy.
I'll get used to it.
Papyrus hauled himself back onto his chair. The armor easily tripled his weight. He could handle it, but it wasn't exactly easy.
Thanks, Sans. I can get the rest.
Sans returned to his own seat, pausing to brush the toast crumbs onto the carpet as if that were any improvement at all. Seriously, though, he said, you seem kind of down, especially for a guy who just got his dream job and all. I must inquire about your mental well-being, bro. Papyrus threaded the leftover lengths of the arm straps out of the way. Even with the padding he had to pull as tight as he could, it still felt a bit loose. It would have to do for now.
It's a lot more responsibility than just being a
Sentry.
Sentry, Sans.
The gauntlets were a bit too big as well, but he wore his gloves underneath. They were workable. Sans frowned at him. Sans frowned at him and cleared his figurative throat. Enquire? They stared at each other for a few seconds. Because I helped you with the armor? With your armor? The light in Sans' eye sockets glowed a bit brighter. Nothing?
Alright.
Papyrus said.
It's terrible I have no brother, etc.
He stood up and gathered his helm. Now he seemed like a good time to go on patrol. Faster than Papyrus expected, Sans moved between him and the door. Why won't you tell me what's eating you? Tension pulled at the edges of his smile. He was barely failing to hide his worry.
Nothing is.
Papyrus said guiltily annoyed.
I'm fine. I'm just tired.
He tried to push past his brother, but Sans slapped his hand away from the doorknob.
Sans!
No, listen, Sans said, planting his back against the door. You're acting really off, and it's weirding me out. We're family. We don't, he faltered for a minute, gaze darting away for a split second. We don't keep things for each other, so I'll ask again. What's going on with you? Papyrus met his brother's concentrated glare, and some tiny, over-tightened screw in his mind suddenly slipped out.
Oh, that's rich. So I'm supposed to be peppy and cheerful all the time, am I? I'm not allowed to have a bad day?
Sans blinked, caught off guard by Papyrus. Papyrus's blow-up.
Bro!
No, that's me. Bro?
You're the one who sleeps 12 hours a day. You're the one who stumbles around and unwashes the half-dressed
Oh my god.
and half-dressed all the time.
Take two. Come on, redo that. Don't read like a robot. You gotta like.
I know.
Do it again.
You're the one who sleeps 12 hours a day. You're the one who stumbles around unwashed and half-dressed all the time.
Papyrus was aghast at his own words, but now that the dam couldn't stop himself.
You don't.
Whoa, sorry.
You don't do anything unless a physical shove you outside. And even then you put forth the absolute minimum effort you can get away with something's wrong with me.
Something's wrong with me? Sans wasn't barricading the door now so much as he was leaning on it to stay upright. His mouth worked, but no words were coming out. Papyrus couldn't get the words to stop. He was coming to a realization about his brother in the worst way possible. He couldn't make himself stop talking.
When's the last time you washed those clothes? When's the last time you showered? Do you even remember? You smell like a wet dog, hair and feet. God.
No.
Never mind.
Where's the other parenthesis? I don't see it. God, why was he being so cruel? Why wouldn't he just shut up? Okay, this is you.
I'm the one with the problem. You can't even know you refuse to take care of yourself. You refuse to take any anything seriously, you think I want to drag you along?
Sans didn't move, just allowed himself to be pushed along in front of the door when Papyrus opened it. He stepped away only when he had to, avoid falling over. Yeah, he said, his eyes gone dim and flickering. Guess I should get ready for work anyway.
No, you should stay home today.
Papyrus jammed his helm on. One last piece that didn't quite fit. At least the visor slit was in the right place.
Better you fall asleep here than at your station,
He added unnecessarily. At any other time, a comment like that would have been normal brotherly snipping, but after that, it amounted to a final blow when he should have been merciful. He didn't shut the door after himself. Wholly focused on just putting some distance between them as quickly as possible. He could feel his brother's stare on his back until the house was out of sight. Flowey.
Well, looking sharp, Papyrus.
Papyrus bit down on a frustrated scream. Of course Flowey would pop up as soon as he crossed the bridge out of town. Of course he'd lead him with the same compliment Papyrus had heard over a dozen times now on his way through here, thoroughly ruining it forever. Though he hadn't taken a great deal of pleasure in the attention anyway. He wasn't sure why. Maybe it was because he still felt like the scum of the underground after his altercation with Sans that morning. All the praise and well-wishing rang hollow. The two, as if to twist the knife deeper, Flowey said.
So I couldn't help but overhear you reading your brother the riot act earlier.
So I couldn't help but overhear you reading your brother the riot act earlier. Papyrus frowned. Oh wait, no, Flowey's mine. I forgot.
Yeah.
Remember you were doing Papyrus. Okay, let me do Papyrus.
I was like so confused.
Sorry. Papyrus frowned. That was none of Flowey's business. And, while he wasn't surprised, it was deeply unsettling to know he was being watched at all times.
That's between my brother and me,
He said. If you ask me, Flowey said, ignoring him completely, you were completely in the right, and it wasn't my place to say anything. But I've thought for a long time now that he takes advantage of you and your kind nature. He bobbed on his stem. Not that I think he means to, don't get me wrong, but that guy has some serious issues, don't you think? Maybe he'll do something thanks to your intervention. Yes, Papyrus thought to himself. He'd do something thinking on what a jerk his brother was.
I don't know why I was acting like that.
He said, more to himself than Flowey.
Once I got going, I couldn't stop, and things I was saying were so mean.
So mean. Flowey scoffed and looked up at him, brow raised. A family isn't a family without a lot of pent-up resentment and bitterness, Papyrus. Relax. He brightened up again. Besides, sometimes the truth only sinks in when it's harsh. Sad but true. I'd think you of all people would get that, right? Papyrus got it. That particular idea had literally beaten him over the last month. Well, I won't keep you, guardsman Papyrus. Flowey giggled. He giggled an awful lot. Papyrus was beginning to really dislike the sound of it. Don't worry about it too much, okay? His problem is that he's wasting his life, not yours. Oh, he said, and don't forget our practice tonight, huh? Wear your armor. And then he was gone. Papyrus slumped, blowing out the breath he had been holding. His plate felt even heavier now. Stop it!
Sorry!
No, my phone! His plate felt even heavier now, pressing him down into the snow. He rolled his shoulders, trying to get the weight disturbed more evenly. The extra layer of padding wasn't much of a substitution for muscle and fat. Still, the physical discomfort of 60 pounds of ill-fitting armor wasn't enough to distract him from his real troubles. He needed to figure out what Flowey wanted out of all of this so he could make it stop. All he'd wanted was to get into the guard. With that done, what was the point of continuing? Unless Flowey just enjoyed beating on him for his own sake. But Flowey was a child, wasn't he? He had been a child for a long time. But he'd been through such horrible things. He'd been alone for so long. Perhaps he just didn't know how to behave. Maybe he could talk with Flowey tonight. It might not get him anywhere, but he was at loss for what else to do. They couldn't go on like this. Flowey wasn't being a very good friend, and whatever the reason was, something had to change. It would be scary to stand up to him, but Papyrus had to try. Papyrus had never been so unhappy in his life, and his unhappiness was starting to spill over onto people that he cared about. He didn't want that. He didn't want